Okay, so next we're going to go over how to put a backer into your mockup. Um, all of my designs for custom clients and actually my semi-custom line have backers included in the design. So um, I really like to add those in there when I can. But first, really quick, I just wanted to give you a good example of why this multiply blend mode is so important in making it look realistic. Because as you can see the texture of the paper through this wash of color or flood of color, whatever you want to call it. If I were to just put it on a normal blend mode, it changes drastically and it does not look natural at all. And this is probably what's keeping you from getting the realistic look. So change it back to multiply and it blends in with like the flowers and the color of the background or the paper, and that's why I use that multiply blend mode. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing that we're gonna do is hide the front of our invitation, and we're gonna use our object selection tool again and to select the card only. Let's see. All right, that looks pretty good. And then we're gonna do another layer, new, layer via copy. So now you have another card available, and it has the same paper texture as this. Yes, you could put a rectangle in and try to color choose and match up to this paper, but it won't have the same texture as the paper and it won't look as natural as this card. So let's see here. You can see that we've got a little bit of the blue that was also selected, but that's not a problem. We can just use our eraser tool. That's E on your keyboard, and it's right here. And we'll zoom in on that card. And what I like to do is just click and press the shift key and click down here, and that will get rid of everything you want in a straight line. So since this is going behind this front card, I'm going to place it where I want it to go, and eventually I'll crop this so everything's kind of centered, but for right now we'll just look at it like this. So I'm going to place it where I want it to go, and that looks great. So now this is obviously above the image. So to get it to look like it's behind the image, we're going to do a few different steps. So you can either use your erase tool or your lasso tool. I'm going to use the lasso tool really quick. I guess, or you could use this selection tool. I'm just used to using the eraser or the lasso. So I'm going to come up here to where this card starts being behind this card. And I'm going to click, sorry, you need to have the polygon lasso tool. Click. I'm going to hold the shift key so everything stays straight. And I'm going to line it up to this line right here as best I can. And click, 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 finish that rectangle, and then hit delete on the keyboard. And that deletes that section of that new layer that we created. I didn't get it perfectly aligned, but that's all right. So I'm going to do Command D to deselect it, and I'm going to move this over ever so slightly. All right, and let's zoom out so you can see what we have now. There needs to be, since there's a shadow here on the cards, or on the invitation card, there needs to be a shadow above here because this one is higher up than this one. So how I do that very quickly is use the burn tool, and I like to change the exposure a little bit You can always add more. It's harder to take away. So I just click. Make sure you're still on that back card layer. Click and hold the shift key. Click and click. And then that gives you just a little bit of a shadow to work with. You can also do the same thing behind here. I don't normally do that because, I mean, this card could be sitting directly on this background that we have. So that's not quite as important to me, but by all means, go for it. If you want to add a shadow to that, go for it. Add a drop shadow or just use that burn tool again. Okay, now what we're going to do is add our file like we've done previously with our invitation file, our address here, and we're just going to follow the same steps. Make sure this backer card is selected before you put in your extra layers. So let's go to place linked. We'll select our invitation file. I'm going to select the second artboard because it's my backer. Go to trim box, click OK, and I'm going to resize it to the size it needs to be. And because this is a separate rectangle, it might snap to those edges of that card. So that's always helpful. And then I'm going to click return. And as you can see, our backer file has been placed, but it's over the front of our invitation still in this little section. First, let's go and make sure we do our multiply for the blend mode. Let's see the difference. Just a little bit darker, a little more natural. Okay, and then what we're going to do is come over here and hover again between our two layers. So this is that rectangle that we created, and this is the back of our invitation. So we're going to hover between, hold on our keyboard Alt or Option, and wait for that icon to change. And then we're going to click, and that masks over to just that card. It disappears from being in front of this and just makes it so it's behind everything. So there you have it. Now we have a backer. You can do the same method if you need to add a separate card to this particular mockup or to a mockup that doesn't have a card already. You can copy the same rectangle, paste it into a new mockup, do whatever you need to do, but that is the basic technique, and that's how I do all of my client proofs with backers and envelopes, and I think it's very helpful for clients to see something that looks very close to what it would be in real life. Helps them make decisions faster, and it helps them visualize what their guests are going to see when they open the envelope and pull out your beautiful suite. So it's really fun. For me, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole design process, is doing mock-ups, sending them to the client, hearing the feedback of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is not something that you took a photo of. That's really exciting for me. But to wrap this up, you're gonna just go to File, Export, and Quick Export as PNG, and that will allow you to send this to your client. So I hope everything was easy to follow and makes sense to you, but if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or via email. I'm always here and happy to help. So until next time.